Hi, my name's Imogen Hobbs, and this is the Good Man Paradigm. I am the men's coach and founder of Change Channel Coaching. I exclusively work with men on tackling the devil on their shoulder, the inner voice of self-doubt that holds them back, that stops them from taking action, that means that they feel incapable or inept of being able to take big risks for themselves. And often that comes from childhood programs, a life of doubt, a life of working hard to prove yourself worthy, to make yourself look like um, you're doing everything right, to chameleon in every room, which is to be able to walk into a room and establish what other people want from you, or what is acceptable to everyone else, and to be able to shift yourself into that space. And so what I want to talk to you tonight about is something that I'm really passionate about, which is rejection masks, and how much we mask ourselves for fear of rejection, for fear of what people will judge of us, for fear of what will be decided about us, about who we are, if we show up in our authentic state. And do we even, and again, not just for men, but for women as well, but as a society, like, do we know what it is that is innately us underneath all of the experiences, the traumas, the pain, the loss, the heartbreak, the heartache, the rejection that we experience? Do we know what is us underneath all of that? And how many times do you walk into a room and not say what you want to, and not share what you're feeling, and not have the conversations that resonate with actually what it is that you're feeling? How many times do you go to work and say yes to working more and doing more overtime and showing up at a higher rate than everyone else, so that you can prove yourself worthy of being in that position, so that you can make sure that your position, your acceptance is solidified, so that if anyone wasn't sure, you you like over proven yourself to mean that it's warranted that you can be there. How many parties do you walk into where you know, are the joker, where you use humor and jokes and be the funny man, so that you're accepted, so that you're wanted, so that people want you around because you amuse them? And at what point do you feel like when you do that, you can be serious, or you can share, or you can actually, you know, say something worth people listening to? Generally with the joker or the funny guy, you know, I see a lot of lost men underneath that mask, because it's such a disconnection. People can only see you and accept you or take you for that version of yourself. And the fear, or the premise, that the idea that we build up when we continue to show up to that person, because, you know, like, yes, people laughed, if we use the funny guy as an example. Yes, people laughed, and yes, that felt good, and you got the validation, you got the acceptance, you got the people saying, you know, like, yeah, we want you around because you're funny, because you amuse us. And that confirmed that belief in you, that this part of you is not acceptable, but this part is. And so you continue to show up in that, and you build that out more and more and more and more, until it becomes so big, and so much of your personality, so much of your identity and who you are and how you show up, that you feel completely detached, because that's what people want from you now. And you don't know how to be something else. You don't know how to give them something else. Often because we build those masks up so strong that they become our personality. That's who we are now. And no faculties, no understanding, no processes to be able to take them off. I used to work in hospitality, and I would come home. I managed a busy cafe in Thornbury in Melbourne, and I used to come home and it would take me about an hour. And what I would say to my partner at the time was like, I just have to take the people suit off. Like I felt like I had to take this version of myself off and put it down. That meant that I could be social and be outgoing and have all of these conversations and sort people out and help them and make sure that they were happy and do all of the and be polite and take. And then I would get home and I would just be exhausted. And I would have to take the people suit off, but it would take me like an hour before I felt like me again. And I see that play out with so many clients. I've got one of my clients at the moment, and he has just moved. And we've been working on this identity piece for a really long time, and around how he chameleons, how he shows up to what other people want, how he is always making sure that he doesn't create a ripple. Like, don't stand out, don't be too loud, don't upset people, don't overwhelm people. Just, be complacent. Be complimentary, fly under the radar, be quiet, don't use your voice, don't speak up. Work longer, do it by yourself, work harder, don't need help. Say yes to the more hours. And he's in a new position now, he's in a new job, and what an exciting place to be in. I think that's extraordinary for him. But we see, because it's stressful, it's disorientating moving somewhere new. And so what we see for him is those programs all coming up that want to go out and work harder, that want to say yes to the harder jobs so that you feel like you're establishing yourself. But then also this really interesting program that's coming through of like, people won't like me because I'm weird if I'm on my own. And what I think in that space is that you should feel weird. If you're putting one of those masks down for the first time, if you're identifying, like, he's done a lot of work on himself, we are committed to helping him navigate himself and understand how to master himself. It's exceptional to watch. It's also a great honor to guide and support and encourage on that journey. But what I'm watching with him is this raw, vulnerable, odd or weird feeling characteristic come out, which is actually probably not weird at all, but it feels weird because he's never actually allowed himself to be himself, to show up as himself, to say no, to not people please, to speak up, to say what he believes, to be vocal, to be seen. And it's exceptional watching that flourish, watching that come out. But what I talk to the guys about a lot is that, like, it should feel uncomfortable. You're figuring out how to be you for the first time in your life. You are putting an end to the survival mechanism, the running, the constant keep going, keep busy, stay on top of everything all of the time, fill all of the gaps so you don't have to face the void, so you don't have to confront yourself. Keep moving at all costs. And what those guys are doing is slowing down and starting to put some of that down and going like, why am I still running? Like, I actually don't have the reasons when I look at my life to mean that I have to keep running, but I've never not run. So I don't know how to walk because I've always just been trying to fucking outrun myself in my whole life. If you've been running your whole life, then walking would be weird, right? It would feel strange and it would feel so inefficient. Like, this is ineffective. Even when I try and go for a walk and I'm like, this is so slow. I need to run. This is not effective. And we do that with survival. We do that with masking. We're so busy trying to survive our lives that we forget, or that we haven't stopped to learn how to live it. And what a critical element, right? Think about that. Like, I've been trying to survive my life for so long that I don't know how to live my life. And if you're 35, 45, 55, 65, whatever, don't you think it's about time that you learn how to live your life rather than masking and pretending to be someone else's life? I think it's really important that you learn how to be you. The masking and the rejection is often that fear that other people won't like us, but what we're projecting with that is that we don't like ourselves because we didn't learn ourselves. I've got one client who he's in my phase 4 program, fucking legend, and he's worked through some heavy stuff throughout 12 months of phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and he's committed to himself over and over and over again, and he's gone from absolute survival mode, breakdown, life melted down around him, to right now he's working out how to become to help men through separation and running a business. And he wants to do that. He wants to give back. He wants to help. He wants to do something more important with his life. And I'm like, right, okay, it's time to start actioning these things, because we can talk about it all we like, but until you actually start taking action, it's what is that? It's worth nothing, right? Like, you can build all of the awareness in your mind, but if you don't do something with it, if you don't start actioning it, your body doesn't actually start to evolve that level of understanding, that level of information. Like, you can know something, but if your body doesn't know how to experience it, if you haven't played that out, like, you can know what your boundaries are, but if you've never spoken a boundary to someone, then when you get to that point, it's going to be like, and it will feel really uncomfortable. We have to action the things in practice. You have to do the reps. We have to show up to it time and time again. And so this client, his reps have been 30 posts on social media. And he didn't sleep. He says it in one of his videos. He didn't sleep the night before because he was so scared about the ridicule and the judgment and the embarrassment and what people would say, and that people would criticize him for doing it, and that he would get rejected. And he didn't sleep the night before, and he showed up to the video and he got like 20 comments on his video. He had 49 followers at the time. 49. And he got 20 comments from friends and people supporting him, saying, yes, we love this, go, do more, like, keep showing up. And in his mind, he was just like, and he shares this on social media, right? He's like, I thought I was going to get all of this hate, and actually I just got all of this support, and it's so surprising. Like, it's you rejecting yourself. It's you not showing up to yourself. It's your judgment that you're scared of. Because you've never been allowed to be you, probably, in your life. And again, I'm not saying everyone. This will resonate for some people and not for others. But if you've never been allowed, or you've never given airtime to you being you in your life, then why would you allow it? Right? Like, that's your rejection. And that comes from not learning, not understanding. Like, at what points in our life did people stop and say, like, with actual time and interest and compassion and care, how many times did people stop, or your parents, teachers, and say, like, are you actually okay? Do you know what just happened to you? Do you need help to understand that? Like, what's changed for you? We didn't have those conversations. I certainly didn't have them as I was growing up. My parents are incredible. I love them. But people were just trying to survive. Think about how busy you are being busy, trying to outrun yourself right now. And our parents were doing the same. We've got a whole society of people, like, we have generations, the generations before that went to war, and then the generation before that or after that had the Depression, and then our parents generally came from that era. That was survival 101. It was ingrained by that point. People weren't stopping to make sure people were okay. People were just trying to survive. They were just trying to get on with it. They were just trying to make it through the day. Rejection was thriving at that point. And so if you mask up, if you put these versions of yourself on so that the world will accept you, but you don't know who you are underneath all of that, then that's a self-perpetuating movement, momentum, personality. And what would happen if you stopped and you got more curious, if you asked yourself some more questions, if you asked, like, do I want to do this anymore? Do I want to show up to that? Do I want to keep overworking and running myself out and putting myself into burnout? Do I want to keep doing that? Or do I want to change the experience? I've got another guy coming through at the moment. He has like absolutely burned himself out. I think it was like 5 or 12 weeks off of work, not functioning, not at all. Like life melted down. And in those moments, what we often find is that nothing makes sense. And he's just started a new job, and it's like I caught myself starting to do those things. He's like, he's doing my phase 1 on demand course at the moment, and just a few sessions in and watching some of my coaching sessions. So I coach for free in the Change Channel men's community arena. And he's jumped on those sessions as well. And he's like, just in that small amount of time, I've learned so much about myself and started to question these things and gone like, wait, do I want to hold this standard? Do I want to keep showing up like this? I think that's an exceptional amount of change in such a short time. But the same thing happened to me, right? Like I was made redundant overnight. And all of the people, all of the connections, all of the experience that I'd had for 4 years leading up to that point was just gone overnight. Crickets. Nobody was there anymore. Like all of these people that you talk to on a regular basis, that you build relationships with and you build rapport with, and are gone. Silence. That is a disorientating place to be in. And what an exceptional gift if you take it. The opportunity in those moments is to go, I'm gonna do something about this. I'm gonna, like, that. Why did it explode? Like, why did my life just melt down around me? Why did it all just blow up? And what can I learn from that? That is an exceptional place. I would say 50% of the guys that come into Change Channel and work in my programs are navigating separation or divorce. Half the men that I work with are navigating separation and divorce. I think that's a big number. And what if we could, what if we could change that before we got to that point, before we got to breakdown, before we got to break up, before we got to separation? What if we could navigate? I'm not saying, like, not all relationships are salvageable, and it's not all on one person, but you have to take responsibility for yourself in the situation. Nobody else can do that, right? It's only their fault as much as it's your fault. Like, you allow yourself to not have the boundaries. You allow yourself to stay. And I have been in DV relationships. I have been in particularly narcissistic relationships. I understand that there's a particular state that you get to where it's like disillusion. You can't, you get so worn down to a point where we break, and that's where we get out, or we don't. And I think that men are in as many of those relationships as women, but the stats just don't show it, which is women controlling and narcissistic and domineering, and men silencing and diminishing. And so at that same point, though, nobody can do it for you. Nobody can take those steps for you. But if you believe that that's all that you're worth, then nothing will change. And one of the things that I hear a lot of is that men start going to therapy, or they start going to counseling, or they start working on it, and the women have been asking them to work on it all of this time, and then they start doing the work, and then it's rejection again on top of that, which is I can't get it right. I can't seem to figure this shit out. Like I'm doing everything that you asked and it's not working. And I hear it a lot. And I know that in that place it can be really devastating. As I said, I've been in that position a few times in my life, and it is really hard to get out, but ultimately you're the one that has to choose. Do I stay or do I go? Do I work on it? Do I work on myself? Do I combat this? Do I start taking charge of this, or do I need to leave? And that's a very real choice for a lot of people. But whether you stay or whether you go, job, relationship, friendship, whatever it is, work on yourself. Like, we don't have to wait for our lives to blow up around us, to absolutely melt down. Like, we don't have to wait for the burnout, for the divorce, for the rejection, for the redundancy, for those things to be able to change the course. And I absolutely firmly believe that the more that you learn about yourself, the more that you understand about yourself, the more that you will be able to create in the world, the more that you will be able to take action on what it is that you want rather than what it is that you fear. Because when we're trying to run away from a past that we're scared of, we will recreate a future that is exactly the same. Because whatever it is that you're focused on, so if you're focused on outrunning your past, you will recreate it, because your energy is where your focus is. Your energy flow, where your focus goes, your energy flows, is what one of my mentors used to say to me all the time. And that's what one of my clients said. He said, like he's realized that you can negatively manifest as well as you can positively manifest. But we're negatively biased. So we're usually drawn to the drama, to the negativity, to the broken bits, to the things that don't work. And one of the things that he was saying is like, for so much of my life, I was so focused on, I don't want to have a broken family. I don't want to have a broken family, because he came from a broken family. And so he was constantly just like, got to keep the family together, can't have a broken family. And what did he end up with? Divorce. Rather than figuring out how not to have that, learning how to operate in a more functional way, learning how to do the work that he's doing now. Back then, like maybe he would have gotten out of the relationship sooner. Likely, in that particular case, maybe that would have happened, right? But maybe it would have changed. You have to accept yourself for anyone else to be able to. You have to have the boundaries and have the awareness and the understanding to be able to change that in other relationships, in other experiences. Otherwise, you get what you project, which is like your internal, how I would explain it is that we are magnetic, and the way that the magnet is programmed is what it will attract. And so we have to change the program, recalibrate the magnet to attract something different. But that takes learning and education and awareness and understanding and patience and fucking investment of time and energy and money and focus. You're the hardest job that you'll ever have. Absolutely. And if you start taking steps towards that, to understanding what that is, to challenging whatever it's been, that will change the way that you're magnetically wired, so that you can put in boundaries, so that you can say no. And often what we get is a change, like a filtration of that. So you might have relationships that still resemble the past one, But your ability to say no, your ability to ask for more, your ability to leave, to say, actually, no, this is not for me. I'm out of here. I'm not staying with this. Like, what happens if that happens in the first 3 months rather than in the first 23 years? Yeah, that's a significant change. And then we flush it out, and then you'll start to see the cycle change. But what happens is you're saying, no, I won't tolerate that anymore. No, I don't accept. No, I don't want that. No, thank you. That doesn't represent where I'm going. Yes, please. This is what I would like. More of this, please. This is what I'm creating. This is the relationship that I would like. I'll show up to the conversations. I will have the communication. I will sit and listen. I will be patient. I will work with you to find a solution for this, rather than the competition and the rejection that happens so frequently now. So the opportunity for you is, what would you like to transform? What would you like to change? What conversations would you like to be having differently in your life? And if you weren't rejecting yourself, what's one thing that you could do right now to start accepting yourself? What's one way that you can show up to that? I would love to hear in the comments. If this resonates for you, please like and subscribe. If you feel like one of your friends might need to hear some of this, please feel free to send it through to them. I would love to hear your take on this in the comments. I will be responding to each and every one of you. So please chuck those comments in and let me know how it goes. My name is Imogen Hobbs. I am the men's coach and founder of Change Channel Coaching, and this is the Good Man Paradigm. Thank you so much for tuning in.